Hi everybody. In this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a quick tiling background to use in Construct 3. Okay, so here's my Construct project, and you'll notice that the size of my layout right here is 1280 by 1024. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Piskel in another tab, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the resize button over here on the far right. Because we're doing a background and it's not going to be a traditional sprite, we're going to make this much larger. So you might think that you'd want to do 1280 by 1024 for the width and the height. Piskel has some problems with dimensions that big, so that's why what we're going to do is we're going to make a tiling background that will then go ahead and tile itself 2 times horizontally and 2 times vertically, and we'll see what that looks like. So I'm going to take the two numbers, 1280 by 1024, and I'm going to divide each of those in half, since I want to make a tiling background that's going to repeat twice. So I'm going to come over here, and for the width I'm going to type in 640, since that's half of 1280, and 512, since that's half of 1024. I'll press resize, and Piskel will give you a performance problem detected, learn more, basically telling you that you're working on a really large image. Be careful. So when working like this, you're definitely going to want to save often. So I'm going to go ahead and save, even though I don't have anything really. We'll see. And it says saving to the gallery might fail due to the sprite size. So I'll call this tile BG for tile background, and let's see what happens. Okay, so in this case it worked. Alright, so for my first layer I'm going to go ahead and I'll just call this sky, and I'll go ahead and I think I'm going to do kind of a nighttime color theme here. So choose kind of a dark purpley blue, and we'll go ahead and try that. Okay, go ahead and make a new layer, edit that, and these are going to be maybe some hills. Okay, and I think I'm going to make these a little more, so I'm going to stand out, be a little brighter, make them a little light purple. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to hold down the Shift key, I'm using the circle tool, and I'm going to go ahead and drag out some circles here. And then some ovals, ellipses. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and I'll fill them in with the paint bucket tool. Try to fill in the gaps if you can, because if you don't, then you have to manually fill them in. That's kind of a pain. And then I'm going to go ahead and maybe take the line tool. Hopefully just close up that area there. Okay, so I think I've made a solid area down here. So if I click once, there we go. So these are my rolling hills. Of course, you guys can do much better. I'm going to finish off by making a third and final layer. I should save. Okay, I'm going to rename this layer, and I'll just simply call this clouds. Now, of course, you can go ahead and try and make more layers and see how you do. And I'm going to make some light blue, almost white clouds. And because I'm putting them on a separate layer, I can lower their opacity. So I'm going to continue with the oval tool and just build up some nice puffy, chunky clouds. And then there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and again fill in with the paint bucket tool as many of these as I can. And then for the little tiny gaps that you can't get with the paint bucket tool, I'll just go in manually with the pen tool. Okay, so with the pen tool, you're going to want to use the biggest size. And even the biggest size is not going to seem that big, and that's because we have such a large canvas right now. It's, again, 640 by 512. Okay, so I'm going to save. All right, so now you could take this, you can see it up here. I'm going to lower the opacity on these clouds. Let's set it to maybe 0.5. We'll go 50%. Okay, good. So now they're a little fainter. Again, you could go ahead and do more. You could do shadows underneath here. You could do some highlights around here on another layer. You could do a ton of more details on the hills. You could add in a tree layer to put trees here in the background. That would be really cool. I'm going to go ahead to keep this tutorial short. I saved it. I'm going to export this and bring it into Construct. So I'm going to choose Export. You want to make sure it's set as a ping, and you want to choose the very first download button right here. It's then going to download to your desktop or your downloads folder. Make sure you know where it is. And you're going to come back to Construct. You're now going to come to Construct, and you're going to right mouse click, Insert New Object. You're going to scroll down and find Tiled Background. Not tile map, but tiled background. And I'll call this tiled BG1, because I might have a second one later. Insert, and click to place. I'll now go click on the load image, and I'll go, it's either going to be on your desktop or in your downloads folder. So I'm going to go find it. That is not it. There we go. That's it right there. I'm going to choose Open, and there it goes. Okay. I'll close it, and you'll see that I'm only seeing a portion of it. I accidentally put it on the wrong layer. It's on the layer above. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to make sure I come over here to Layer and make sure it goes on my background layer. Okay. I'm going to get rid of my blue background. So I'm going to select it, press Delete. And I'll come over here to my object types and right click and delete it, since I'm pretty sure I don't need it anymore. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and place this up here in the top left corner, and now the fun begins. So you'll see that as I drag it, if I keep going to the right, it will in fact tile, and it will continue forever and ever and ever if I keep going. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just drag it on down, and you'll see that it is truly tiling because you see that it is tiling its height. That looks a little goofy now, but that's actually okay. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. I'm going to change the color of this platform because it's really hard to see. I'm going to make it a brighter color. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Awesome. So there it is. Okay, so now what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and maybe I'll take this platform and I'm going to duplicate it by holding down Command and left clicking and dragging. I'm going to place it down here so I have somewhere to fall. There we go. Something like that. This is still not a fun game yet, but maybe it'll get there. Okay, so now here's the only thing I need to do. If I go ahead and press play, you'll see that I can see both levels here, which looks kind of terrible. I can jump up, I can see, I can fall, but I want it to be a little bit more of a reveal. This playable window that you can see here is just too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the size of my playable window. So the way you do that is you come out here and you click out here in your margin where there's nothing here, so nothing is selected. I'm now going to come down here where it says Project Properties, and I'm going to hit View. And when I come down here, it says Display Viewport Size, and you'll notice that it's 1280 by 1024. I'm going to put that in half, so I'm going to say 640 by 512. And there we go. You won't see anything happen on your screen, but when I press play, you'll see that I get a much smaller viewport, and you'll notice that I can basically, it scrolls, it follows me, and I can drop down and I can see the second half. Now there was a problem in the first upper half, is that when I fell down, you could actually see, you can see when I land, you can see the sky below. So one way to fix that, of course, is to bring everything up. I'm just going to lock this background and go ahead and move everything up a little bit, player up, ground up. So it takes a little trial and error, but you can see, let's see if it works now. Nope, not quite there yet. Okay, so you can kind of see how high I need to go up here. So it's not perfect. I need to play around with this a little bit. What we could do is you could actually you could take this tileable background. Let me right-click and unlock it. And I could actually bring it back up so that I only see half of it like this. And then the cool thing that you could do is that you could make another tiled background that then goes down here in the bottom strip. That would then go ahead and when the player moved down here, it would look like they're falling through the sky, and then maybe they land down here in a terrain or a cave or something like that. So that could be really cool. So I'll have to play around with this a little bit more, see if I can get it right, because I don't have to keep lifting my character up really high. I want it really to be down here, but I don't want to see this extra area down here. So give it a shot, make your first tiled background using Piskel, and see what you can come up with. All right, good luck.